At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or dsw.com today and let us surprise you.
You're listening to Make Some Noise podcast, episode number 726 with guest Alanna Kaivalya. Welcome to Make Some Noise podcast, your guide for strategies, tools, and insight to empower yourself. I'm your host, Andrea Owen, global speaker, entrepreneur, life coach since 2007, and author of 3 books that have been translated into 18 languages and are available in 22 countries. Each week, I'll bring you a guest or a lesson that will help you maximize unshakable confidence, master resilience, and make some noise in your life. You ready? Let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I am so glad that you are here. I am recording this at the end of the day on a Friday, and I have started and stopped this intro 4 times. This is my 4th time. So I figure if I just say it out loud, I can get through the whole thing. And I am excited to bring you a repeat guest. Allana was on the show last year, and I loved our conversation so much. I had a follow-up conversation with her not that long after. So this was recorded in October 2025. It took me several months to finally get it out to you. And I tell you that because we are focusing on relationships in this particular episode, relationships with men. And so, times are a little bit different right now in the world, in the social world, with what we're talking about and personal growth. So I just wanted to say that up front at the top, as they say. The other thing is that I'm going to encourage you once again to follow me on Substack. I have been posting over there a little bit more regularly and have a plan next month to start posting weekly. I'm going to be doing more deep dives with my writing. I'm going to be unpacking patriarchy, how patriarchy's impacted me and how I'm still unlearning it in my own life, in my internalized misogyny and internalized patriarchy, as well as my own experience in spending my life centering men and what that's been like to try to unlearn that in real time. So topics like that, I'm going deeper, a little bit more longer form than I do here on the podcast. And I love writing. I'm going back to my roots. So I really hope you join me over there. For now, all of my writing is going to be free for anyone, but you do need to subscribe to be able to see it. And I'm hoping soon to bring more things over there on Substack. So I'm having a great time over there. It's like social media, but for writers. So, if you're a writer, I highly recommend. The other thing is I do have some openings for private coaching this summer. So I'll drop the link in the show notes if you want to check that out and see if we might be a good fit to work together. All right, so before we get into it, let me tell you a little bit about our guest today. Alanna Kaivalya, PhD, is a best-selling author, educator, thought leader, and expert on mythology, spirituality, psychology, and women's empowerment. The author of The Way of the Satisfied Woman, Sacred Sound, and Myths of the Asanas, she earned a doctorate in mythological studies with an emphasis in depth psychology from Pacifica Graduate Institute and is the host of the Satisfied Woman podcast. She lives in Los Angeles, and you can find more of her at thesatisfiedwoman.com. So without further ado, here is Allana. Allana, welcome back.
I'm so pleased to be here, Andrea. Thank you for re-inviting me.
Again, yes. And as I was mentioning to you, is I don't often get the luxury to be able to ask follow-up questions to questions that I've asked a guest. And I was so happy that you agreed to come back on, especially so quickly, because I do have follow-up questions based on our conversation. And so if anyone's listening who missed the first conversation that we had, I will pop that link in the show notes. It's not an old episode. It's fairly recent. And I would love to jump in. And I talk a decent amount over here about self-abandonment. I have a
Mm,
book coming out in December where I talk about it even more. And
yeah.
it's also one of those terms that people are like, that sounds like something what I do, but what is it? I
Yeah.
did ask you about it last time in terms of like how can women recognize when they're self-abandoning? And I love that you used the term cultural training
Yeah.
because like that's kind of like what, how we've been trained to survive essentially. And that's what you said before. If you could give some advice about like small moves or behaviors or even thought processes that women can make to start sort of untraining ourselves to automatically self-abandon, which is what many of us do, like a
Yeah.
10-second like kind of interruption thing that people can try. Do you have advice around that?
Yeah, it's one of the most fundamental things I teach,
Oh, you're kidding. Oh,
actually.
good guess.
No.
I sniffed it out.
It's a great guess. Yeah, and I find that, this is such a common thing for women because of our cultural training, because of the
Yes.
fact that we have a biological imperative to want to belong.
Mhm.
And somewhere along the lines, that has meant giving ourselves away in order to try to never be discarded, to make sure that we're included. And there's a sense of safety around it. So I just want to normalize it for all the women out there that there are reasons why we do this,
Mhm.
but there are also reasons why we don't need to do this anymore. And there are reasons why doing this has always been detrimental, but it's now detrimental in such a way that it's affecting our health, it's affecting our mental health, it's affecting our relationships, and it's time to stop the pattern.
Yeah.
So the
I'm going to
biggest,
pause for a second
yeah,
because I'm thinking of people who might not know what we're talking about. So when you say this, it's things like poor boundaries, people
yeah,
pleasing, those types of
giving,
behaviors, right?
subjugating your needs,
Yeah.
putting everyone else first,
Hmm.
not speaking up for for your needs or what it is that you need. Playing small for the world, not taking up enough space, apologizing for yourself. I recently issued to my community a 7-day challenge to not say I'm sorry for 7 straight days under any circumstances.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Just sitting in
do
his
not
comfort.
apologize. I mean, unless you really fuck up,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
unless your behavior is actually out of alignment with your moral fiber or
Which is
something,
pretty
okay.
rare. Hmm.
Pretty rare, pretty
Hmm.
rare. But, women apologize for existing.
Yeah, we do.
Women apologize for being in a room.
Hmm.
Women apologize for being smart. Women
Yes.
apologize for having ideas. So 7 days, I'm like, look, ladies, if you really liked it, you can pick it back up after 7 days, but just see what happens to you and the people around you if you stop saying I'm sorry. So that's a challenge I issued. I'd like to issue it to your listeners as well. But the self-abandonment piece, it's funny, not in a ha-ha way, but in an ironic way that we are trained to abandon ourselves so that we don't get abandoned.
Right.
But in doing that, it's almost like we're giving everyone else permission to overlook and abandon us. So it's not working out like we thought it would. And the crux of it, really the biggest pattern interrupt, the biggest thing that we can do is to get in touch once again, or maybe for the first time ever, with one of our greatest feminine superpowers, which is our intuition. We're all equipped with it. We all have it. We may or may not have tuned into it at any point in our lives. And so I train women to discover their sacred no.
Hmm.
And by finding that, they also get their sacred yes. But interestingly, the most important phrase of the feminine is no.
Hmm.
Phrase of the masculine is yes. So we want to get to that no. That's how we become boundaried. And you're going to feel it in your body. Women, feminine women especially, are embodied. We feel things. That's something that makes us very unique and something that we've, also apologized too
Yes.
much for.
Pushed away.
Yeah, and it is different than logic and reason. It may not be rational, but it doesn't have to be. It's not the same thing, but it's still wisdom and
Hmm.
it's still important. And our intuition is often giving us information based on things we don't even know yet, that we can't even work out yet. And so the point isn't to rationalize it. The point isn't that it should make sense. The point is that we just listen and then act. So I coach women to essentially just before you can do your 10-second pattern interrupt, you need to know what your no feels like.
Mm.
And it's a really simple practice, honestly. If you close your eyes and think about, and unless you're driving, listening to this podcast, you can do this now with me. If you just close your eyes and think about a recent time where you really wanted to say no to something, in all likelihood, you probably said yes, because that's what we do. That's how we
Hmm.
abandon ourselves. But if you really felt like, like I don't have time for this, or I don't have the energy for this, or I don't have the capacity for this, tune in, take yourself back to that moment and tune into what that felt like in your body. It's going to feel some version of bad. A
Yeah.
tightening in the chest, a lump in the throat, an inability to breathe, a heaviness, a darkness, a weight, a constriction, something
Hmm.
like that. And maybe it's localized in your solar plexus. Maybe it's in your heart. Maybe it's in your neck. Maybe it's at the top of your head. I don't know. But for you, it's going to feel like something specific. And when you feel that, the answer is only no.
Hmm.
And no is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
And when you issue that no, you do it without explanation and without apology. And this is one of the central themes of the work that I do when I coach women is holding them accountable to that no and getting them comfortable and oriented to what happens when we issue a no, especially if it's always been yes for everyone around us. They're going to buck and churn a little bit and protest because they're used to us giving ourselves away.
Hmm.
But when we become boundaried, when we occupy the fullness of our space, when by saying no to the things we want to say no to, we ultimately say yes to ourselves, we become sovereign and satisfied women, and that actually benefits everyone.
In the long run, the long
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the long game. Yeah.
Yes. When you were issuing that small challenge of think about something that you when you were asked a question and it was an immediate body no
Yeah.
before anything comes out of our mouth. It also made me think of last night I was in the shower and it was a hair washing night, so it's always a longer shower.
Yeah. We're hanging out. We're
And I
listening to
opened my
music.
eye and it's a standing shower. It's not a tub shower.
Yep.
And there was a bug in
Ah,
the shower with me on the opposite side of the
no.
shower. But it was the kind of bug that I really dislike. It was
Sure.
long and it was like a centipede, but with like two really long antenna. And it was
Oh,
kind of,
Andrea.
I wanted it out. So that was an immediate no.
Right.
I do not want to share my shower
Yeah.
this bug that if I close my eyes to, you know what I mean? Like I could feel that was an immediate no. And that is
Yeah.
the same no that I feel when someone asks me to do something that I don't want to do, but I ultimately say yes. So
Right.
I say that to offer to people, like, if you can't think about what you would feel if you would find yourself in a shower with something or someone you don't want to be in the shower with. Like it's the same
Yeah.
body sensation.
It is. And what's interesting about that reference is I recently undertook a cross-country move and I'm now living in Texas. And
Okay.
the bugs here, you can saddle them
Where are you from
and
originally?
wrangle them. I'm actually originally from Texas, but
Okay.
I have spent most of my adult life. I lived in New York City for 16 years, LA for
Different bugs.
5,
Yeah.
and then decided to come back home. There really aren't any bugs. I mean, there's definitely bugs in New York City, but nothing like here. And so, I definitely get that hell no response to the giant cockroach marching across my floor before I
Mhm.
quickly dispatch him. But the other thing about this is kind of the follow up. Because so the first practice is the first pattern interrupt to stop abandoning yourself and to start occupying as much space as you deserve to occupy, ladies, in this life, is to pay attention to your intuition and simply act on it.
Mhm.
Stop second guessing it. Your intuition knows more than you do. You can figure it out later. No one has ever been served from ignoring their intuition. So start there. That's
Right.
gonna reveal some things to you in your life. That's gonna reveal to you who is willing to step up and in to support you. As a result, they will see your value because you're no longer letting them, allowing them to treat you like second best. We
Right.
teach people how to treat us. And, there's obviously exceptions to that. And I certainly, in saying that, in no way am blaming anyone. And I'm certainly not saying if you've been treated poorly in relationship that it's your fault. That's not it at all. Remember, we've all been improperly trained. We're all just
Mhm.
used to this. The people around you may just be used to treating you or women in general a certain way.
Because of
It's
how
not
they
their
were
fault.
trained. Yep.
Yeah. So we're just going to shift the energy. We're going to reestablish our feminine power, and in doing that, we ultimately call the masculine into being. We call the masculine up. Now, we can keep calling, we can keep asking, and we're going to see who rises and who does not.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next piece of this is, yeah, look, we have people in our lives that we love. They may just not know. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's talk to them about it. Let's switch our energy up, see how it changes. And if they don't rise, then I always advocate heavy curation
Okay,
of
say
our
more about that.
lives.
Yeah.
You can fire people.
Okay.
Yeah, you can fire people's places, things, arrangements, relationships, circumstances. If they really don't allow you to stay in your power, they need to be fired. Or at the very least, if they're unfireable, like it's a parent or a
Right.
child, you can't fire
Mhm.
them. You can draw stronger boundaries or limit the energy that you divest. And that's important because we are not infinite beings. As women, we are finite. We have
Mhm.
a vessel, and that vessel has a certain capacity. And we
Yes.
want to make sure that that vessel always stays full of our own energy and that others help to continuously replenish it. I write about this in my book. It's called Keeping the Well Filled. You want to keep your
Mhm.
well filled. And too many women run that well dry. If you get to
Mhm.
the point where you're down at 5%, you're automatically at burnout. Uh, you know, do not pass go, do not collect $200. It's like a massive triage moment. And in those times, things like self-care are really going to be like a self-rescue.
Yep. I've been there.
Yeah. Where it feels
Mhm.
exhausting to even take a bath.
Yeah.
Yeah. Too late.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us were trained to learn that our limits the hard way through illness or,
Yes.
depression, insomnia, those types of sort of somatic things that happen to us.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you this a little bit later, but it's a perfect segue because last time I asked you about $64 million question of why do strong women stay in unhealthy relationships? And you talked about how we as women typically overfunction in relationships
Yeah.
and which can if we're in a heterosexual relationship, if we're a woman in a relationship with a man, that can a lot of times emasculate our male partners.
Yes.
So the answer is not to keep trying to fix it. It's again kind of like what you mentioned. It's an invitation to ask your male partner to rise. And so my
Correct.
question then becomes, for someone who is maybe in that position and they're ready to stop fixing, like what would sort of day one look like for them of like holding them accountable? Like what's the messy in between before things start to shift? 'Cause I think
Yeah,
sort of that where
sure.
that's where people get frozen. They just don't know what to do or say.
Yeah, it is tough. And look, again, we're not casting blame because we have at least one, if not several, generations of people, men and women, who are used to women overfunctioning,
Mhm. And
who
expect
are
it.
you expect it. Yeah, and we've been we're often as women praised for our overfunctioning. Oh my gosh, she's a lady, she can do it all.
Hmm.
Look how together it is. She's got the family, she's got the career, she's got the home, she's got whatever it is we have on our long, long list. The more we can keep ourselves together and make it look good, the more we're cheered on. Now it's like the duck that you see on top of the pond and its feet are going nuts under the water.
Yeah.
We're panicked on the inside, and it's no wonder that women have proportionately so much higher rates of things like autoimmune disorder,
Hmm.
depression, anxiety. This is not a homeostatic way of being for a woman, but it has become the expectation of ourselves and of those around us. So this is a big pattern we'll be interrupting. And the other part of this over functioning, this perception that a woman should be able to do it all, be it all for herself and all things at all times, it is very masculine,
Yeah.
right? So this concept that women are supposed to take care of everything. Caretaking is actually a masculine principle.
Hmm.
Nurturing is actually masculine. Parenting is masculine.
Oh, because it's the
Pregnancy,
doing.
yeah, pregnancy and giving birth is feminine, but once the baby's out, it's you're responsible for guidance, protection, providing, leadership, safety, security for that young infant until the age of about 10-ish, 10 or
Hmm.
11. And humanity, as far as evolution goes, has just agreed that we will participate in that in order to propagate the species, and I'm all for it. But after about
Hmm.
the age of 10 or 11, the woman needs to take herself back. And historically, if we think about how, tribes in history have participated in the raising of children. Let's say you've got a woman who, like, she is the basket weaver. You can't just take the basket weaver out of commission for 10 full years because she is dedicated solely and utterly to raising a child. She needs support in raising that child so that she can also still weave baskets and maintain that, very expertise that is hers that she's proud of. She's not just a mother. She's also a basket weaver. And our society somehow has gotten confused or lost that as soon as we are in relationship, as soon as we take on the role of motherhood, that we lose any other part of ourselves. I talk to so many women who say things to me like, I woke up 20 years later and I don't remember who I am anymore. I cried with a woman who looked at me and said, Allana, she had 4 kids running around her. She said, Allana, I just want a little patch of grass I can call my own. So really, this is about taking ourselves back from everyone else who is taking from us. And that is going to mean that we first have to hold ourselves accountable. Okay, so it's going to be an adjustment for those around us. And the first thing that I encourage women in this position to do when they're in a relationship that is draining, that is keeping them in the masculine, where they're micromanaging their spouse's or their partner's activity. They're trying to control how, if, and when the partner contributes to cleaning, to laundry, to household chores, to finances. When you have that much control over things, when you're trying to micromanage everything in the household, you'll know that you're in a distorted masculine patterning.
Okay.
And it's exhausting to you. It's exhausting to them. So a couple of first things that we work on is letting go of that control. People think of control as like being controlling and being mean, but control for a woman is often just trying to preserve that sense of safety in her home, that if it just looks like I need it to, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Let's let that go. It actually might look real messy. It actually might not be as clean. The laundry might pile up. If you don't want to do the laundry anymore because you're exhausted by it, stop doing the laundry. If you don't want to cook every night because it's mentally draining for you and you can't make one more decision during the day, stop cooking at night. I had a really wonderful example of a coaching client that I worked with who she really needed a clean house, and I totally respect that. And she really couldn't get into the kitchen and feel good about making dinner until the kitchen was clean. And she asked her husband to help her clean the kitchen every morning so that she could have this mental freedom during the day and be able to prepare dinner at night. And she's like, I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think he's going to do it. I said to her, you know what? He might not. Get Domino's on speed dial because you're not cooking tonight.
Yeah.
If it doesn't happen, you just won't cook, and that's it. Once you draw your own boundary, those boundaries are for you, not for them. They're for you. If you decide the cooking doesn't happen unless the kitchen is clean, if the kitchen is not clean, the cooking just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
The world will continue to turn. Life will go on. I promise you, the longer the laundry piles up, the more uncomfortable they'll be too. And eventually someone will do it. Will they fold it like you will? Probably not.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Will they do it in a timely manner? Probably not. But that's okay. Yeah. It's an opportunity for them to step up and rise. And the masculine requires that. They love doing things, particularly when the healthy masculine cherishes the feminine. They will want to contribute to the well-being of the feminine. So you'll know you're in the presence of the healthy masculine when finally they realize you're done. You've dropped the mantle and now they need to pick it up. So it's going to be uncomfortable for you, probably even more than for them. And so there is a lot of encouragement that I offer in just letting things be messy, prioritizing your own self. They can handle it. And don't explain. No is a full sentence, right? Because they're going to have questions. Well, why aren't you doing the laundry?
Why aren't things the same as they've always been?
Why aren't I able to continuously demand more of your time?
Right.
Why aren't you continuing to overgive at my every whim? You don't have to say anything. There's really no need to explain that. You don't have to explain yourself. Over explaining waters down the purpose. It waters down your power. Over explaining starts to devolve into excuse making and manipulation, most likely either by you or them to try to get you to do it. Oh, then the negotiations begin. Oh, I'll start it tomorrow or I'll do it next week.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't work for me anymore.
Yeah. That's a good explanation. And I was
I just don't have the energy or capacity for that. Not even today or this week. I just don't have the energy or capacity for that. You know what? It's just not in my flow anymore. Or simply, my absolute favorite is no. And the absolute favorite of one of my coaching clients is no, but thank you.
Thanks for asking about it.
Yeah. She's like so polite. She's like, but I want them to know that I'm honored that they tried to include me. I'm like, okay, cool. Add the thank you. Let's do that. But really getting comfortable with the fullness of you as you are without the leaks of the energy. So I know we're not on video, but this is normally where I have this beautiful vase. And it's large and it's imperfect and it's like irregular and it goes from a nice pink color to a deep blue and it's got, this big opening. And this is like my model for the feminine vessel. In my brain, this is what the feminine vessel looks like. It's very vaginal.
Yes.
This is the shape of our
Cavernous.
bodies. Yeah. And so for those of you listening, I want you to imagine what that vessel might look for you. And the beautiful thing about a vessel is it has capacity, but again, it's limited. Now, as a woman, energy for us is really important.
It's everything.
And you also know that energy flows. We're not machines. We don't have the same capacity today as we did yesterday or that we might tomorrow. Things change and flux all month long, all year long, and there is great purpose for that. There is great beauty in those seasons of our life as a woman, and we're meant to ebb and flow. We are meant to rest. We are not unlimited in our capacity to continuously give ourselves away. So if you think about this vessel, it has a 100% capacity. Not 110, not 115, just 100%.
Yep.
And I want all of you listeners to think about, what are you giving that energy to? Or what's draining your energy? Do you want to give 25% to your family, but they're draining 75%? Do you want to offer 50% to your soul's purpose, your career, the magic, the mystery, the money, the manifestation, the abundance you want to create in the world, but you're only allowed to give it 10% because you've got so much energy being drained in other places? This is what curation is about. I say excise anything that isn't tending to your vessel, because a vessel is like a well, and a well feeds a community. And you can't drain a well faster than it's replenished. Now that means you as the woman, but that also means the people around you.
Yeah.
If they're coming to the well, draining it, that well's going to run dry. And as much as you thought being drained was going to prevent you from being abandoned or discarded or overlooked or left, once that well runs dry, people got to move on.
This is so fascinating. And we need to take a quick ad break. And when we get back, I want to share a quick anecdote about how this showed up in my life and what I did, more of a cautionary tale than anything else. So we'll be right back. This show is sponsored by MIDI Health. Listen, there are times in life when we practice acceptance. I talk about it all the time here on the show. We let things go, we breathe through it, we rise above. But menopause, not one of those times. If you're in perimenopause or menopause and something feels off in your body and you're being told you're too young, it's just stress, or your symptoms are normal, don't let them tell you that. If your hair is thinning, your sleep is not okay, your mood is on a roller coaster and someone just shrugs it off, don't let them. If hot flashes are hijacking your life or it's taking months or years to get real answers, don't let them. You deserve actual care, not dismissal or gaslighting, and no outdated information from a system that was never built with midlife women in mind in the first place. That's why I love what MIDI Health is doing. They're a virtual clinic created by women for women, specializing in midlife hormonal transitions. They personalize treatment, offer FDA-approved hormonal and non-hormonal options, and they're available 24/7. And yes, they take insurance. This is about advocating for yourself. This is about better care, period. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com. You know how it goes. You're trying to eat healthy, so you stock up on all this beautiful produce, and then life happens. You don't know what to cook with it, and you don't feel like cooking, and a week later, you're throwing half of it away and feeling guilty about it. That absolutely was me. I was the produce killer. Here's what I've learned. Fad diets fail because they ask you to fight for your own life. Green Chef works because it fits into the one you already have. Every week you get over 40 recipes made with organic produce, responsibly sourced proteins, and ingredients you can actually pronounce. You can pick what fits your goals: Mediterranean, high protein, or their new longevity line, built around brain and gut health. Meals come pre-portioned and ready in minutes, and they even include free, unlimited one-on-one nutrition coaching. Green Chef is the only certified clean meal kit tested by the Clean Label Project and the most sustainable one out there. I have for sure been the produce killer, and that's exactly why I love Green Chef. I use it, and you should too. Head to greenchef.com/50noise and use code 50noise to get 50% off your first month, then 20% off for 2 months after that. Again, that's code 50noise at greenchef.com/50noise.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
Now at McDonald's, a McDouble is $2.50, so you can get your gym gains on. Or just get lunch for only $2.50. Get more value on the under $3 menu.
Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher for delivery.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Okay, we're back. Before the break, you were talking about, I was asking like, what can people do in order to just kind of take that one step to stop over functioning if they're in like a relationship where they feel like they are, especially like a family unit. So without going into too much detail, I've been married twice. For sake of privacy, I'll just say like this happened in one of my marriages. And the way that I went about it was I had a realization that I had made my partner the sun in my life. I had created a life where I revolved around him. We all revolved around basically him. And so I just decided one day, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to see what it's like if I'm my own son and I say no to him being the son, and we're just going to see what happens. I don't recommend that without a conversation ahead of time. Like a healthier way would have been for me to approach my spouse, and I didn't. And I just started behaving. I just started saying no to certain things. And I had gotten to a place of being so diminished that I came from it. I came at it with a really closed heart. I was angry. I was resentful. That part I don't recommend, because how it came out is it was a hard stop. And he noticed and took it very personally. And I don't blame him. Like my behavior suddenly changed. What's going on? And I think that, and the reason I wanted to tell my experience is because what was stopping me from making any changes in the first place was that intuitively I knew that if I really did a good job in terms of setting that boundary and stop, making myself the sun, that would most likely have implications in terms of the future of my relationship. And I was correct.
Yeah.
It took a while. It was a bit of a long game, but it was sort of like that first thing that I could, like the box that I checked off of like choosing myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then the relationship didn't have the foundation that it needed in order to sort of like recalibrate
Right.
to what I also needed. And I knew intuitively that like the relationship just wasn't going to last if I started to say no.
Yeah.
So I say that because I think there might be people listening who also intuitively know. And I don't think that's everyone's experience. I think some people have a different experience in their relationships, but
Okay, there's like 19. I should have taken notes because there's 19 things I want to unpack in there. So first of all, when you said I made him,
textbook.
I know, right? So when you said I made him the son, my brain immediately went to SON
Mhm.
because so many women find themselves essentially playing mom
Yeah.
for their partner.
It was an intentional play on.
Yeah, there was. It's very
Mhm.
mythological, actually,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
symbolic.
good. I like it.
And I
You
also
like
like
it.
the SUN, that your
Mhm.
life revolved around him, like that he was the center of your universe. I also want to honor your intuition in knowing that, look, yeah, you might have been you might have given him a softer landing on that, but the result was going to be the same.
True.
And I think your intuition was probably saying, we just can't take it anymore.
Mhm.
Right? I know it's going to be a rough edge, but I cannot tolerate any more self-abandonment. So yeah, so I will say in whatever wisdom I might have that it worked out exactly as it was supposed to.
It did.
And maybe that shock was the only way for him to perhaps have shifted. Now, the other thing I want to note is everyone has everyone has both masculine and feminine energy within them. These are psychological energies of the psyche. And it tends to be that we lean toward one more fully and we feel more comfortable in one more fully. It tends to be that a person in a female body with a uterus and a vagina leans toward the feminine psychological energy. And there are biological, chemical, psychological, environmental, all sorts of reasons for that.
Mhm.
And same with men. Men in a body born with a penis tend to lean toward masculinity. Now it's 2025. We know that there are infinite variations, expressions, and ways of being a human. Okay.
Yeah.
I primarily talk to women in female bodies who lean toward the feminine, who are in relationship with a masculine partner, generally in a male body. So I just wanted to give that quick disclaimer.
Thank you.
Because look, everything is awesomely okay, but for those of us in the feminine body, in the female body, we have a certain set of expectations for ourselves that were set from culture that, they don't need to work anymore and they really never did work for us. And anytime we're in a relationship with someone who is playing the sun, the SON or the SUN in a relationship, a couple of things could be happening. Number one, this could be a person who didn't actually get the psychological kick into adulthood. So I talk about this. I think I talked about this in one of my podcasts the other day, but I know it's in my book that, mythology, religion, native practices, ritual, one of the things that we've lost in the movement away from those and more towards scientific ways of, belief and believing and living our lives is we still have marriage rituals, we still have funerary rituals, we still have birth rites, but we don't have coming of age rituals. And rituals like that are meant to usher us from one psychological stage of being to another.
Okay. So is that an example of that, like bar mitzvahs or quinceañeras?
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
Exactly. So those are ways to say to the young person, you are no longer a child who requires 100% providing and caretaking by parents. You are now responsible for yourself and need to start providing and caretaking for yourself. And we all recognize you as a functioning adult, and we're not going to let you off that hook. As women, we get it biologically with the onset of menstruation. So whether or not there is a rite of passage, which I wish there were, we deserve it. At some point, we actually there's a moment. We have to grapple with the fact that we are now capable of potentially carrying and being responsible for another human life. We can't avoid it.
Yeah.
The psyche has to go into adulthood. Unfortunately, men don't get that. It's a long, slow slide through puberty, and then suddenly they're just an adult. So unless there is some sort of psychological kick, some sort of push, some sort of trauma, some sort of thing that calls them into being an adult, some sort of rite of passage, if the parents never show the child, guess what? You are your own person responsible for yourself. No, I will not do your laundry anymore. We end up with grown men who psychologically are still the son.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think we've all dated at least one of those.
At least one.
At least one, right? And I'm not saying that's the case for all men. I'm just saying that, again, nobody's fault. They don't have that biological kick. And unless they're given it by their parents, their culture, their society, their religion, some sort of trauma, men who join the military, they learn real fast that they're an adult now and they're responsible not only for themselves, but for their teams. So that could be one issue, that this is a person who just never understood that he is responsible for cherishing and honoring the feminine as opposed to the other way around. It could also be a person who is on the feminine polarity. Now, I have a past relationship where, in my bravado, masculine wearing armor, thinking I was doing the right thing by what the culture told me, successful business, making my way in New York City, keeping it all together, making it look good, even though I was dying inside, I ended up attracting a man who was on the feminine polarity. So that was never going to work out. Because as soon as I realized, that was never going to be a fit, his natural polarity was never going to be the masculine.
I'm curious what the initial attraction was, though.
That
hid that. That's what I'm curious. So now I'm going into coach mode.
Yeah. So he, interestingly, and perhaps unsurprisingly, society tells men that they can't really be on the feminine, that they need to man up.
Yep.
So in our dating, he presented as very masculine. He had a very high-powered job in Midtown New York. He was on boards of nonprofits. Look, if I look, hindsight is 2020, and looking back now, I should have seen some signs, and I won't reveal too many of those signs again for privacy purposes. But on paper, he looked great. Yeah. And interestingly, it was about between 7 and 9 months into our relationship, I ended up teaching a workshop. I was leading a retreat, actually. And he came with me on the retreat. And I think him seeing me in that capable leadership, professorial, wielding the hearts and minds of the people who had faith in me to do this retreat with me for a week in this foreign country, he was like, oh, she's got this. And it was almost overnight. He was like, all right, I don't have to pretend with this masculine mantle anymore. I can just slip that off and become my true self, which is the natural feminine. So it was a bit, I don't know that he meant it purposefully, but it was a bit of a bait and switch. So just to kind of, for the listeners, these are the two things we might be facing as powerful women. Number one, we are giving the world the wrong impression when we put on that masculine armor. We are telling the world, giving them the wrong impression that the masculine is our natural polarity. And if it's not, that is going to continue to be exhausting and they will continue to expect it from us. Yeah. So we need to downshift ASAP. And we need to present ourselves appropriately, particularly in intimate relationship.
It's tricky. Well, part of the reason why I appreciate you speaking candidly on that. One of the reasons I wanted to ask you was partly for my selfish curiosity, but also for people listening. So, could they see themselves in maybe some of the choices that they've made previously? Because the question sometimes that we ask ourselves is, I see a lot of, myself included, women blame themselves for how could I have not seen this sooner? Or how did I attract this person? Am I a bad picker? And that's why I asked that question. What was the initial attraction? Because please speak more.
I get that women blame themselves, and don't forget, everybody else also blames women.
Sure. Yeah. Right.
So,
the company blaming ourselves.
I've been talking recently about feminine guilt, which I'm literally labeling
I talk about that a lot too.
Well, I think it's specific. So here's how I classify it. I classify feminine guilt as we feel guilty when we think we might disappoint someone else.
Yeah.
Our guilt comes not from our actions or behavior, but from how someone else might perceive us.
Might is the key word, like, because we feel the guilt anyway.
Yeah.
I similarly, like the main thing when I talk about guilt is that like the traditional definition of guilt is like that someone has made a mistake and you have emotions about it, that you feel badly and have feelings of regret for making
Yeah.
that mistake. But yet I
That's
talk to
healthy
women
guilt.
every day who feel guilty for simply inconveniencing people, or even the thought that they might inconvenience them.
Yep.
Like that's the main difference. And so
Yeah.
I invite women to ask themselves, like, when you're feeling guilty, ask yourself, like, have I genuinely made a mistake where I need to make amends, or have I just possibly inconvenienced people? Those are two very
Yeah.
different things.
I ask them, is it yours?
Yeah.
Like, because it ain't. That the truth is, it ain't. It's not. I get it, and I want to be. I'm so glad that we're doing this a second time, Andrea. Like I said before we started, I feel like the first time is sort of breaking the ice and getting to know you. And
I
the
have like
second
7 more
time,
questions.
we just get to
have
let
like
it all hang
5
out.
minutes.
I know.
You might
I
have
have,
to come
I have
back again.
19 million more questions and answers and things I want to talk about. And I want to be transparent too. The work that I do arises out of the fact that I've been there.
Mhm.
I've been the woman in the abusive relationship, carrying all of it, making it look good, wondering, how did I get here? I thought I was smarter than this, and trying not to reveal the levels of abuse because other people would assume that I'm smarter than this.
Yeah.
I don't want to show my weakness because that invites danger and lack of safety. Again, historically, biologically, women actually are safe in relationship. If you think about it, we need to be in partnership because it's difficult as a woman in this world. So it makes sense. We want to be in relationship, and we should be. I don't think it's a bad picker. I think it's more of that cultural training
Yep.
that, when we are in a relationship, that we're told we're the ones who have to hold it all together. We're told that we're the ones that have to save it, to manage it, that if something's wrong, we have to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And we believe that. But we don't need to believe it anymore. We
Right.
can write a different script because that script actually never worked for us. So I'm contending with the things that kept us small versus the things that allow us to occupy as much space as we deserve. And so I'm also challenging the ladies that I work with, like, how much space can you occupy this week? Like, how much space can you take up? Like, think about like space taking. Because I feel like so many of us just play small or, pretend like we're not even in a room. We don't
Yeah.
speak up in a Zoom conference. We don't mention a core need. And those are all small. I want us big.
I think even just asking, doing a 7-day challenge or anything like that, even just asking a woman, are you clear on what it is that you need
Mm,
in all the areas of your life? Like,
yeah.
think about work, think about the relationship you have with your parents, with your children, with your partner, with your friends, like, because we wear lots of hats.
Zootopia 2 has come home to Disney Plus.
Let's go!
Get ready for a new case,
We're gonna crack this case and prove we're the greatest partners of all time!
new friends.
You are Gary the Snake. And your last name? The Snake.
Dream team.
And new habitats.
Zootopia has a secret reptile population.
You can watch the record-breaking phenomenon at home.
You're clearly working at.
Zootopia 2, now available on Disney Plus, rated PG.
And I have come to find, I'm 50, I have lots of relationship experiences. And now at this age, what I'm starting to see is the obvious ways and the very sneaky ways that the system of patriarchy has kept us down. Because
Yeah.
as someone who works in this field, like, it's easy for me to see the obvious ways and to learn the lessons from them and to talk about the lessons, but it's the sneakier ones that have really come to bite me in the ass, and that I can sit in it for years and years and years before I'm like, oh my God, it's been here. It's like the bug in the shower. Like, it was there the whole time.
The whole time.
And
here's
I didn't know.
Here's one that I've been like really figuring out how can I shout this from the rooftops, because there's a movement right now that I think is really playing into it and getting it so wrong.
Is it the trad wife movement?
No.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about that next time.
No, it's not about that, but it is about one of the sneaky things of the patriarchy is this do it yourself.
Okay.
is that we need to be completely responsible for ourselves and don't worry about them. Let them.
Oh, yeah. I have my issues with that too.
I want us to hold others more accountable. I
Yeah.
want us to ask more from our partnerships. If we continue to let others off the hook, what is the point of relationships? We are the psychological principles say we are wounded in relationship as young children. We are healed in relationship as adults. We cannot do this by ourselves. And women, you know that this life, this world we live in, this patriarchal narrative, everything that is existing, it is too hard. We can do it for short bursts by ourselves.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying as a lady you need a man. That is not the narrative here. I respect every woman's choice to be single, to be partnered, to do any variation or
Love who
version
they
of that
want.
in her
Yeah.
life, right? However, at some point in our lives, we are going to want relationship of some kind. We are going to want partnership. We are going to want some kind of family structure where we can share the load. And that means that those others need to be accountable for us. So like, for example, when I talk to women in relationship who are clearly in a toxic pattern in a relationship, a lot of the narrative today is, oh, that's just who they are. Write them off, cut them out, delete, block them, be done. If they don't, like basically never give them a chance. Don't forget, they've had shitty training too, right? Let's give people a chance to rise up. Let's invite them into greater partnership. Let's make accountability sexy again.
That invitation is vulnerable for people to do.
But try it.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to get it unless you ask.
Right.
And if you don't ask, it's going to be very lonely.
Yeah. The answer is always going to be no.
Yeah.
I agree with you on all fronts. I think that it's the whole let them theory. I think it's very nuanced. I think sometimes, yes, but I agree with you. A lot of times we need to be having maybe better conversations with people, more clear expectations, and also with compassion. Because, I think sometimes we make up that as women in traditional homes in heterosexual relationships, like we get the message like, oh, we should be confronting our husbands, you need to do more. I do this. No. And I have always approached the conversation with people I care about as like, I understand why you are this way. You were following the rules just like I was. And we have never had a conversation about what those rules were. So let's talk about it. And it's no matter what, it's vulnerable. But I agree with you with that last part you said. If it's not addressed, it will address itself. The problem will address itself. For me, it looked like illness. I know it's similar to you.
Me too.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, we do need to wrap up. I didn't even again, I'll just need to have you on for a third time. But
let's just schedule round 3.
Yes, we will. So I can ask the rest of my questions. Well, is there anything before we close up, is there anything that you want to circle back to or underscore or even just say that's brand new in order for you to feel complete with this call?
Yeah, I think I want to give, I love giving permission. So anybody listening, I want to give you permission to say no without explanation. I want to give you permission to stop saying that you're sorry. And I want to give you permission to expect better from those that you love.
Well, where can people go to find more about your work? The links will be in the show notes, but where can people go right now?
I would love for people to come find my work at thesatisfiedwoman.com. So that's where you can find my book, The Way of the Satisfied Woman, as well as my monthly membership called Rooted. And in the new year, I will be starting another round of my feminine coach certification program. So you don't have to be a coach. If you want to work with other women to empower them, to call them into their fullness, to allow them to find a path of satisfaction, to find their own sovereignty, I can teach you how to work with other women. This is how the work goes loud. So you can join me for that in January. Otherwise, lots and lots of resources and freebies and podcasts and stuff for you at thesatisfiedwoman.com.
I love your website. It's also laid out very, the user experience is great.
I so appreciate you saying that. I've worked really hard. Thank you.
It's not overwhelming. Yeah. If I had to find something, it's like super fast and easy. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I appreciate your time. And remember, it's our life's journey to make ourselves better humans and our life's responsibility to make the world a better place. Bye for now. Hey, did you know there's free secret podcast episodes waiting for you that are not part of my regular podcast feed? Yes, AndreaOwen.com/free. And you just sign up. You get a link sent to you. It's very secret. It's like a secret club. We don't have a secret handshake. Don't worry about that. But it's these motivating podcast episodes that I made for you. They're under 20 minutes each. There's 3 of them. They're for wherever you are in your life. So head on over there and grab them. They range from really supporting you and seeing you where you are and being compassionate, all the way to giving you a giant kick in your ass and telling you how amazing and gorgeous and phenomenal you are. So AndreaOwen.com/free and get your hands on that free podcast feed.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.